At what point does Gilmour start regularly? When does this happen? Because every time he plays, the whole community is like, he's so good, he's so good. And I'm like, yeah, he is really good. That's why Barcelona wanted him. Do you know what I mean? You don't buy 5'6" midfielders because they're rubbish. You buy them because they're amazing. And I don't know at what point you start him, because this is where people's opinions clash, specifically the sort of you want to say, I don't want to divide people necessarily, because the fan base is quite divided generally, but like the solid Jorginho fans, the Kovacic, Catenaccio fans, the Campista, Regista fans. Like, personally, I think they'll like. I don't know why they wouldn't like Billy. They probably do. But, and I'm not saying Billy's better than Jorginho, but at what point does Billy play or deserve to play? Because I can't help but think with the way that I like to see the game play and I like to enjoy the club, I would be okay with Billy starting and making a few mistakes and learning to play. And I just would. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It really is that simple. I would be okay for him to play there. He's obviously not as skilled as Jorginho or Kovacic in controlling the play or breaking the press or anything like that. I just think he's really intelligent. He's very rugged. The passes he was playing the other day they're outstanding. And even the ones that didn't come off, every time I thought, do you know, that's the right idea. And that's obviously because it's my main criticism of Jorginho, is the fact that he doesn't do those passes that are risky and don't work sometimes. And I like it. Like, there were a few where Gilmour sort of done a reverse pass behind the defender, and obviously the winger just wasn't there. Maybe the weight of pass was off, but the more he plays, the better he gets at that. And I'm sat here thinking, you know, this Chelsea team has got some really amazing young players. When does he start? At what point is there a point where he starts, or is he going to miss out? Because I think he's too good to miss out, personally.
It still seems a little bit strange to me he stayed. I think it's always one of those conflicts where I can see it from Tuchel and the club side. In particular, Tuchel, who came in very late in January, had no time to make any signings, and probably just wanted pragmatically, as he has done with the amount of rotation he's made in his first, how many games is it now? 13, 14 games?
Yeah.
He's made a lot of changes. So just naturally, if I was in his position, I'd want the same. I'd want as many players as possible. I'm bringing a new system. I want to give everyone a fresh start. And the profile of Billy Gilmour very much suits what Tuchel wants to do. You know, in terms of possession, in terms of keeping things ticking over. What I love about Billy Gilmour is I think he has the potential, and it's not only potential, I think it's what I've seen from him in his Chelsea career so far, is an ability to play a ball from deep that not many of our midfielders possess. As you mentioned,
or
that vertical pass. You know, or what he loves to do is he's a player that almost every time he gets possession, in particular when he picks it up over the halfway line in the opposition half, is he's looking up and he tries to play a direct pass. He tries to play the ball forward. It's a very simplistic thing, but unfortunately not every midfielder does that. I mean, when we were speaking after the Leeds game, the frustration with Jorginho not playing that pass, I have full confidence if Billy's in that position, he's making that pass, even if he gets it wrong. He made a lot of those sort of passes that were wrong, but you can see the idea. I think there was one over the top for Hudson-Odoi that was really good, and Hudson got to it, but unfortunately that blasted it over.
And I
thought if someone's in a better position there, like those are those passes, fine margins in a game where we're up against a low block, where you have to be a little bit more inventive. And I just think physically too, I think there are questions naturally about his physicality, but I think he's great in a challenge. He made one brilliant slide tackle yesterday.
Yeah, so good.
And I think he's a great player for the counter press as well. I mean, Chelsea's ability press-wise to hold on to possession and keep the ball ticking over, get the ball to a player who can drop a little bit deeper, sometimes in between the centre-backs if you're playing a two, but, you know, Billy naturally likes to drop deep. We've seen him be able to drive up the pitch as well. I remember the goal against Luton, the third goal against Luton. He basically orchestrated that goal himself. He was deep, then moved up and made the final pass to Callum Hudson-Odoi and crossed it into Tammy Abraham for an easy tap in. He did the same against Barnsley, if you remember. And people would dismiss it as, it's championship opposition, but that's the only time we get to see him play. So unless we see him, it's a bit like many of the young players I've said about before. until you see these players get a run of 5 games in the Premier League, you can't make a firm judgment if they're good enough or not against good opposition. And we do have evidence. Billy Gilmour last season against Liverpool, a really good Liverpool side, and also against Everton, that he can perform to a really good level. And yeah, I mean, let's talk about midfield, which I think Chelsea is an area Chelsea needs to invest in the summer. And I think that Billy Gilmour absolutely should be given a look in. But it's one of these cases, again, where you think, are the club going to prioritise spending over in, bringing up one of their young players? Will Billy think to himself, I need football next season. I can't be sat on the bench for the whole season. If Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante will stay, which I think is very likely all 3 of them do, given where they currently stand, what's the decision Billy's got to make? Is he going to force Jorginho and Kovacic to sit on the bench for most of the season? And what does that mean for Kova and Jorginho, given where they are in their careers? So it's I agree with you. Why can't he play against West Brom?
If you're Marina, right? Yeah. if you're Marina, where are you sending him on loan next season? In the Prem.
I'd say Brighton is. I've been asked this question before. I think Brighton's the best idea.
I said Brighton or Southampton.
He needs to be in a progressive team who wants the ball. He can't be in a He can't be at Newcastle.
Leeds. Oh, can you imagine him at Leeds?
Leeds. Well, Calvin Phillips has done so well this season, so he could be in that system. But
and it'd just be great for Billy Gilmour to be coached by Bielsa. Imagine.
True, but I think that luckily there are more options now for a player of Billy's type than there was in the Premier League 5 years ago. There's more teams in the Premier League who want possession, who will operate with that type of midfielder. So I think Brighton, if they stay up, they had an amazing... I loved watching them on Saturday against Newcastle. I know Newcastle were absolutely dire at the moment, but they were very impressive. So I would probably go there. But I agree with you. Every time he performs for Chelsea, he impresses me. He doesn't look out of place. And I think he's the sort of player that Chelsea are looking for. And it's just one of those things, once again, will people have the confidence, and will the club, and will, in particular, Tuchel have the confidence to put him into that position and let him develop next season?